Hello and welcome back to the Long Island Railroad Montauk branch, or should I say the Pennsylvania Railroad Grantville Spur. Today we are going to look at my other layout. This one lives in the unfinished workroom area of my basement. It is a simple L about 8 feet by 6 feet and 24 inches wide. The long leg is what I started on when I got back into model railroading about 4 years ago. It was an attempt to see what I could do with all the track buildings and accessories I still had from when I was young. I had a nice little layout, but it didn't last because the old switches were just too unreliable. I have since redone it, and now it serves as a test layout for scenery techniques and a home for rolling stock and buildings that don't belong or fit in on my main layout. I recently added this extension because I wanted a large single industry and also wanted to try Boomer's method of using balsa wood for embedding track in a street. I also had a couple of leftover Pico curved switches that I wanted to put to use and not waste. Here's the track schematic for the main section of the layout. And coming up is the schematic for the extension. Activity on the layout is controlled by cards. Each piece of rolling stock has a card, like these. Each card has a picture of the car and a list of potential destinations. For tank cars, since they only go to one industry, the card lists the spot numbers at that industry. To set up an operation, I simply draw cards from the deck equal to the number of cars I want to handle, usually 6 to 8. If the car drawn is already on the layout, then it is a pickup. If the car is not on the layout, it is a set-out. To find out where specifically the car is going, I roll a die and compare it to the list of destinations on the card. If I get an operation I don't like, I just do it over or maybe change 1 or 2 cars. It's not a big deal. So the first car is West Indies Fruit Reefer number 729, which is on the board at C&W Foods. So it goes in the outbound stack. The second car is GATX tank car, which is not on the board, so it goes in the oncoming stack. The third car is UCOX tank car, which is on the board. Next is New Haven 30860, which is not on the board. Then New Haven 39268, which is currently at the team track. And finally New York Central 52020, which is not on the board. So now I collect up all the outbounds and put them in the outbound rack. Now I roll a die for the inbound cars to find out their destinations. For the New York Central car I roll a 2, so it is going to Anderson Manufacturing. The card goes in the appropriate slot. For the New Haven car I roll a 6, so it goes to the team track. And for the tank car I roll a 4, so it goes to spot 4. One thing to note for a system like this is that for it to work, the total number of car cards needs to be between 100 and 150% of the total number of spots on the table. So this layout has 12 spots and I have 12 cars, so I have some room to grow. Cars arrive on this simple staging track, a piece of wood that just sits in 2 simple support brackets. This New Haven car is probably the oldest car I have. I got it at a train show and it is a metal and wood kit. It's a cantankerous old thing, but I really like how it looks, so I keep it around. Power for today is this old Atlas GP7 with a Cato motor that I got off of eBay. The body detail isn't up to modern standards, but it runs really well. I painted the yellow rails and added the front and rear number boards. This layout is DZ only, with a MRC Tech 7 MPAC 760 transformer. So the engineer and the conductor have consulted, and here's the plan. We will cut off the New Haven car here, pull forward and then run around the remaining 2 cars. Then we will deliver the New York Central car to Anderson Manufacturing, and then head to Triplex Oil and swap the inbound and outbound tank cars. And I'll cover the rest of the moves once that's done. Anderson Manufacturing on the left is a combination of three buildings. The original brick kit that's probably 45 years old, Walther's shed behind it, and a scratch-built office structure in front. For my single large industry, I chose a fuel dealer because I already had the Walther's fueling platform and fuel tanks built, and several tank cars that I couldn't use on my other layout. I fleshed it out with a Walther's office building from another kit and a couple of Tichy large fuel tanks on the left. For the rest of the moves, we will start by leaving the tank car on the spur here and going to get the incoming New Haven car, which will be swapped with the outgoing New Haven car that can be seen at the team track on the left. After that, we will pull the West India fruit car from the spur on the left. It's the second one in, so we will have to respot the other one when we're done. Then we will run around those two pickups, grab the tank car, and be on our way. Shockingly, the old New Haven car did not derail once during this operation. Probably a record. And so a quick switching up comes to an end. It was something a little different, and I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the next episode where I will demonstrate a different way to operate on this layout that some of you may have already guessed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on the Long Island Railroad Montauk branch.